Welcome to session 3 of Crazy Faith. And at this point, you're almost an expert at crazy faith because we've been through baby faith, maybe faith, waiting faith, and wavy faith. And those are all types of faith that we want to have a part of our crazy faith journey. But this next one we're about to talk about, it's what we do not want. And we do not want to live in lazy faith. See, the thing about lazy faith is it's innate on the inside of all of us. Come on, let's be honest. How many of us have something we know we should have done today, but we didn't do? Hands lifted everywhere. The reason is because there's a part of us that procrastinates, that tries to think that we may have another moment or another time to do something. But the truth is, many times that time never comes, and it's because we were lazy or we didn't do the thing that we needed to do. We stalled or we faked it in our faith. But today I want to encourage you that the opposite of lazy faith is active faith. And that's what I want for every one of our lives. Because the truth is, in my own life, there have been many times where I know God was saying, do this, go pray for them, go speak to them, start saving this. And I was just honestly too lazy to do it. If we can be transparent right now, is there any area in your life that has been hindered or held back? Not because of God, not because of others, but because of your laziness. See, this is not comfortable, but it is something that stops crazy things from happening because we won't do what we need to do in the moment to see the miracle actually happen. It's important for us to have a faith that is active, alive, and that other people are able to see. Because the truth of the matter is, you may be the only Bible some people read. The book of Sarah, the book of Paul, the book of James. That's not the James in the Bible. I'm talking about James McHenry, whoever you are right now. I'm saying your life is what people are going to see. And when we live in a way that is bold and active and actually anticipates what God wants to do in our life, we divorce our life from lazy faith. See, there's a story I like in Mark chapter 2, verses 1 through 12, that is the exact opposite of lazy faith. It's active faith. There were 4 men that had a paralyzed friend that they were going to carry him to Jesus because they believed he could get healed. See, this story doesn't tell us that the man had faith to be healed on his own. He had friends that had faith and were willing to actually do something to see him healed. One question I have for you, are your friends down for you like that? Do they have faith that's active enough to even believe when you can't believe? Get the picture. These men go pick this man up from wherever he was at. They carry him to the place where Jesus is at, and they get there and the whole thing is sold out. There are people inside the house, outside the house, all around. Nobody can get into the place. And this is where most people's faith would have said, well, we tried. We tried to get you to Jesus. We tried to get you healed, bro. I'm so sorry. It's not going to happen this time. Lazy faith friends would have quit right there. But these friends persevered. And they were so committed to finding a different way to get this friend to Jesus that they said, what can we do with what we have? They found their way onto the roof of where Jesus was, cut a hole in the ceiling, and they lowered their friend into Jesus. Now, I don't know if you've thought about how much work that actually takes. This was probably a grown man, literally pulling them up on the roof, literally lowering them down. Where did they get a pulley system? Like, all of these different things are happening right now. But these men were determined because they didn't have lazy faith. They had active faith. Active faith sees obstacles as detours, not stop signs, and they will put in the work to find another way. I want to encourage you right now that every part of your life that you've been walking in lazy faith, this is the moment where God says, let's get active. Let's see what can happen if you would see the detour as not a stop sign, but as the sign to find another way. There have been so many times on my journey, even believing God for this building we would one day own, that detour after detour after detour came to say, Mike, give up. Be lazy now. Maybe this isn't God. But I knew that if I stepped back and didn't believe God in crazy faith, that I would be forfeiting what God had already promised. And I don't know who this is for that's watching this right now, but there are things that God has already promised you that is gonna take work to get. So many people love prophetic words, but they do not want to do the prophetic work. I'ma say that again. So many people want prophetic words, but they will not do the prophetic work. And I'm challenging you. It's time for you to do the prophetic work. Do whatever it takes. Get active, get help, get around community that believes in you and sees what you can be, and do not rest when God has called you to move forward. I know that there are so many things that could be an excuse, but what's on the other side of you getting active is a life that you couldn't even imagine. This is your wake-up call. This is me saying, get up from the things, the attitudes, the feelings of laziness, and know that God will give you both the desire and the power to do what pleases Him. We're divorcing lazy faith, and we're going to be active in everything that God has called us to in crazy faith. So now that we've talked about not having lazy faith, let me give you one more type of faith that we need to stay away from. It's called Fugazi faith. Now, some of you are like, Fugazi faith? Yeah, Fugazi is a word that is now popular in culture that means fake, counterfeit, not real. And a lot of people have what I like to call Fugazi faith. It's a faith that doesn't really believe, but acts like it believes. It's a faith that when you say it, they're like, yeah, but then when it comes to actually doing it, it's like, nah. This could be explained through a story I have with my mother-in-law, or as I like to call her, my mother-in-law. One day I get this knock on the door, all frantic. I open the door and she said, Michael, God has done it. He's answered my prayer. Oh, hallelujah. And she begins to have this whole moment. I'm like, what is going on, Mom? And she shows me a check for $100,000. And I'm like, somebody just sent you a check for $100,000? I look at the literature that comes with the check, and basically they say, if you send us $700, we'll send you $100,000. And I said, Mom, that's fake. She was like, no, it's not. I said, that's counterfeit. I said, think about it. If somebody was going to give you $100,000, why would they need $700 from you? Her countenance just changed. She got super sad and she's like, oh, I was taken advantage of. I said, Mom, you almost put your faith in something that was fugazi, counterfeit, not real. And how many times in our life are we putting our faith in something that's not real, believing but not really believing? We have to have authentic faith, faith that actually believes it, says it, and doesn't doubt. And many of us are sadly in a position where we speak but don't really believe it in our heart. But I'm encouraging you to put away all fugazi faith, all counterfeit faith, all fake faith, and start walking in authentic faith. See, this idea of authentic faith makes me think of Mary and Martha when their brother Lazarus dies. Now, let me set the scene for you in John 11. They send word to Jesus, and Jesus decides to stay where he's at for a couple more days, letting Mary and Martha go through waiting faith. By the time he gets there, literally Lazarus is dead. And at that moment, this is the time where their faith either becomes very authentic and real, or it is fugazi. Mary and Martha believe God, and they believe him so much that even in the midst of their devastation, they are able to communicate with Jesus directly and be able to let them know how disappointed they are, but that they feel that he still can move in the situation. Listen to what happens. Jesus is coming up, and the sister gets up and says, if you would have been here, I feel like she had an attitude in my mind. If you would have, rolling her neck and everything, if you would have been here, my brother would still be alive. But watch this level of crazy faith. She says, but even now, wow. There are situations right now that look dead, but if you had authentic faith, you could stand in crazy faith and say, but even now, I believe that you can do something about this situation. And when she stands, that proves that she really believes in Jesus. Jesus tells Martha at that moment, woo, believe in me, because you're about to see this situation turn around for my glory. And the glory of God showed up at that death place. And I'm telling you right now, when you have authentic faith, you can look at something that should be a graveyard and it can become a garden. It can become a place of life. He speaks to that tomb and says, Lazarus, come forth. And that brother jumps up and lives again. Can your marriage live again? Can your family be back together? Can that business thrive? Can that thing that God placed deep down in your heart actually come to life? I want to tell you, yes, it can. I'm a living witness. There were dreams and ideas that God had given me long ago, and my life looked like it was going down a different path. And God has somehow resurrected the things that I thought were dead, because I truly believe that all things were working together for the good of those who are called and that love Him. And I'm telling you right now that somebody that's watching this is saying, well, if I believe, maybe it won't happen. No. Even now. Somebody say that. Say even now. Come on, one more time. Say even now. I believe even now as you're watching this, God can do something in your situation even now as you're looking at foreclosure or divorce or looking at being away from what you thought was the purpose that God had for you. Even now, God can resurrect the situation. And I'm telling you, you have to believe without doubt. See, we got to check our motives right now and know that God can do way more with just us having authentic faith. It's time to stop faking. It's time for us to be real with God, but it's time for us to believe in authentic, strong, crazy faith. I'm challenging everybody. We need to be done with lazy faith and we need to be finished with Fugazi faith. Why, Pastor Mike? Because God will do everything we can't do, but nothing we can. It is time for us to take control over the parts of us that are just being ruled by our emotions, our flesh, and our desires, and say, God, here they are. I'm submitting the areas of my life that have been lackadaisical, procrastinated, just plain sloppy. And I'm saying, can you take this and do something that's active, that's real, that's honest, that's vibrant, that's alive, and that's authentic? And I'm telling you, I'm a living witness that God can do that. This is your time to stop playing it safe and for you to live in crazy faith.